Hello, I'm Helen from the Netherlands, and I'm here to share my story, which gets a little dramatic at times. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I don't remember my parents at all. I was raised by my older sister, who tried to replace my mom and dad. She had just turned 17 when we were left all alone. I was a 1-year-old baby, and I yelled so heart-rendingly that our neighbors were getting scared, knocking on the heating pipes and sometimes calling the police, and I just wanted to eat. My sister dropped out of school and got a job as a barista at a bistro near our home, just so that we wouldn't starve. She was able to come home on work breaks to change my diapers in time and feed me my baby formula. My sister tried to give me all the best things, the ones she didn't have herself. For Christmas and on my birthday, I always had the gifts I dreamt of. In any case, no worse than any other children were getting. It's hard to imagine the superhuman effort my sister put in to earn the money for those presents, while also paying for electricity, heating, gas, and not starving to death. She often stayed for the late-night shifts as well, and sometimes did the cleaning lady's work to get a higher raise in her salary. Can you imagine? I couldn't even imagine the difficulties my sister had to overcome for child services not to take me away. While her peers were falling in love and clubbing, she worked hard. Although she herself was still a child, she bravely took on the responsibilities of an adult. My sister was the closest person I had. When I climbed in her lap and hugged her neck with my little hands, she melted with happiness. "I love you so much," I said, mispronouncing about half the letters with my toothless mouth. "Me too, baby. You're the most precious thing I have," my sister answered me. With each year, our life was becoming easier and more fun. I grew up a little and took on most of the household chores to help my sister. And it seemed like all our sorrows were left in the past, until I started noticing something odd about my sister. One day when I was walking home from school, I saw my sister, who seemed to be following someone, hiding around the corners, looking around all sneaky and agitated. I loudly called her name, but she didn't even look at me and disappeared around a corner. In the evening, when I asked her about it, my sister shrugged in surprise, and then she said that it was all in my head. This happened several times. I tried to follow her, but every time she managed to skillfully get away from me, and this didn't last long. One day our doorbell rang and a policeman was standing at the door, and it turned out that security cameras recorded my sister smashing shop windows with a baseball bat. Oh, my heart shrinks from these memories and my fear for her. Then my sister was taken to the police station. Luckily, they released her on the same day. Medical examination showed that she had suffered from multiple personality disorder and didn't always have control over her actions. Well, how do I explain it better? This is a disorder when several different people live in one person, and they can't remember certain events from their life. Not the best news, right? A person suffering from such a disease is not dangerous to others. Most likely, my sister started experiencing the beginning of this syndrome in her youth, from mental and physical overpressure. But the process was reversible, and she was simply prescribed basic therapy, recommended rest, and proper nutrition. She began to attend a special help group where people with the same disease gathered and supported each other. And for my part, I supported my sister in every way I could. The news about this disorder made us feel even closer. In order to keep my sister calm and help her get back to normal as soon as possible, I took on part of the financial responsibility for our small family and worked part-time after school delivering pizza, so I could repay her at least a tiny bit for the happiness and cloudless childhood. We felt like everything was getting better and I could finally relax a little, until one egregious incident knocked us out of our stride. One day, my sister and I came to the school for a parent-teacher meeting. A few minutes before it ended, she suddenly abruptly got up from the table and silently, without looking at anyone, ran out of the classroom. At this point, I already suspected something must be wrong. And when the meeting ended, when my classmates and their parents stepped out of the room, they saw a terrifying scene. My sister was standing up by the lockers, looking straight up crazy. She'd managed to open the lockers somehow, and she'd thrown everything out of them and was stamping her feet and smashing everything. Naturally, an ambulance had to be called. When people in white coats took away my sister, who was resisting, only a few classmates looked at me sympathetically, but most of them, the vast majority, started laughing at my family in my face, whispering when I entered the classroom and calling me a psycho behind my back. And all because of my classmate, Juna, who, for reasons unknown to me, was setting everyone against me and spreading dirty rumors around the school. Although once in the first grade, I told the teacher that she was cheating on a test, peeping into the textbook, and then she got the lowest grade. and that was a long time ago. Helen is just as crazy as her sister. They should put them both in the nut house. Where are the authorities that are supposed to send crazy people where they belong? Guys, stay away from her. What if it's contagious and airborne? I heard behind me when I passed Juna. But one day during lunch in the school cafeteria, I snapped and dropped a tray with tomato juice on her, as though by accident. Wow, she almost blew up with rage then, and it even seemed to me that Juna finally realized that it was better not to mess with me, and that I can stand up for my family. But after that, she really shut up for a while and stopped bullying me. Meanwhile, my sister's treatment started working, and the doctor promised that my parent-teacher meeting situation shouldn't happen again. In other words, the disease had receded. The fact that my sister got better really did cheer us up. And at the town street food festival, we set up our stand and were brewing the best coffee in town for the guest of the holiday. Yes, the best. Only my sister can brew such full-flavored coffee. There was a long line for our stand. The smell of coffee spread around the area and attracted people. We made good money that day and everything was going great. Until Juna showed up. Just looking at her immediately spoiled my mood. And when she opened her mouth, ew, I've never heard a nastier voice. Oh, they're selling pig wash here, the most disgusting coffee in town. And they also fool people. You've probably already made a good deal on those who don't know what kind of family you have. I just hope you don't poison anyone, Juna said smugly, happily watching the expressions on people's faces change and enjoying the effect. You must have already understood that when it comes to my sister, I can't be held accountable for my actions. I can do things I wouldn't expect from myself. So that day I spat on Juna's face, and this spit expressed everything that's difficult to convey in words. Everything she deserved. Can you imagine her green face? I personally remember it in all the smallest details. She hissed like a snake and looked like a hunchbacked witch. But my triumph didn't last long. In a moment, Juna knocked over the heavy stand with hot coffee onto me, and I don't remember anything after that. I woke up in the hospital. My arms and legs were partially bandaged. These were bruises and hot coffee burns, a gift from Juna. And the next day, when visitors were allowed to enter my room, my classmates came with a bouquet of flowers and a box of candy. How nice and sweet of them. They said that Juna was expelled from school after that incident and sent to a boarding school for difficult teenagers. Helen, it turned out that Juna is prone to violence and cruelty. This was confirmed by a psychiatric examination. She openly mocked you for a long time, and we supported her. For some reason, it seemed to be funny, but in fact, we really want to make things right. You probably want to send us to hell. We understand your feelings and sincerely ask for your forgiveness, my guest said guiltily. Guys, it's all good. Let's forget the past and become friends, I said awkwardly. And then we had tea with sweets and enthusiastically discussed school affairs, until the nurse said that visiting hours were over and kicked my new friends out the door. After this incident, I got a white streak in life. My sister was doing fine, and things were also going uphill for her at work. She was promoted and her salary had doubled. I enjoyed going to high school and really got into my studies. I set a goal to get the grades required for a university scholarship. Seeing my success, the teachers were dazed, and my sister was incredibly proud. She was glad that I had an opportunity to get a decent education, an opportunity that she didn't have in her time. And I was grateful for this, and was pushing my way to the chance of achieving something more in life and having a good career. Everything was fine until a new guy came to our class. When I first saw him, I immediately realized that I fell for him hard. He sat down next to me, threw his hair back and smiled, and for some reason, that smile made my heart skip a beat. And then it began pounding furiously. Thump, 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 thump. By the way, the guy's name was Max. And it seems that he immediately realized that his presence was making me agitated. I blushed and nervously bit my nails. He began to show me signs of attention, and a week after we met, he invited me on a date. On that extraordinary evening when Max wanted to kiss me, for some reason I started sneezing and I couldn't stop. I looked so funny. But when he succeeded, he got down on one knee and offered me to be his girlfriend. Well, of course, I agreed. I felt like I had the perfect and most beautiful boyfriend. But I didn't think so for that long. Suddenly, without explaining anything, Max started ignoring me. He wouldn't pick up the phone and he started sitting with another girl, whispering something in her ear during lessons and smiling at her with his signature smile. I couldn't understand what was going on and I got depressed. Studying ceased to excite me. Thoughts about the university did not motivate me at all. And I never had such bad grades in my life. The principal even called me to his office and tried to find out what had happened. One evening, my doorbell rang, and it was Max. He said he was a little busy and everything is fine now. He invited me to his sister's party and asked me to get ready ASAP. I was so in love with him that I forgot everything in the world and got dressed in 2 minutes. I was shining with happiness. After all, my love was with me. I understand that my story now sounds absurd, but I was really obsessed with Max then. Now try to imagine how shocked I was when his sister who organized the party turned out to be Juna. When I saw her, I was speechless, and she started laughing loudly. Turned out that this was her cunning plan to make me suffer from unanswered love and arrange everything for me to fail my exams. My brother is a brilliant actor. Did you really believe that such a guy could seriously be interested in you? Pathetic, dumb, and crazy, like your whole family, Juna said triumphantly, and Max stood outside, a little embarrassed and not knowing where to look. At that moment, I experienced hellish emotional pain, and it was much stronger than the pain from bruises and burns, the scars from which I had on my body from the previous meeting with Juna. That night, I ran home from the party with my teeth clenched tightly and not shedding a single tear. I decided that I would not let anyone just break my life like that. It was as if this situation had become that very bottom from which I had pushed off, jumped out of my long-lasting depression, and was finally able to breathe freely. I studied so hard that I didn't fail my final exams. Moreover, I got such good grades that no one could believe it. Despite my fears, I was approved for a scholarship, though not at the university I originally wanted to go to, but a very good one as well. Over time, I realized that this was actually for the better. A couple of years after I successfully got my degree, my sister and I opened our own business, a small family restaurant, with the best coffee in town. And in this very restaurant, I met the guy who later became my husband. But that's a different and very happy story.